How can patience help you transform your life starting today? I'm Professor Spira, and I practice something called the Mucusless Diet Healing System, and I've helped thousands of people transform their lives using the methods and the teachings that are found in this system. And today I'm sharing with you the art of patience and how this, in my opinion, is the primary virtue of the mucus-free path, the mucus-free lifestyle. When I started practicing the Mucusless diet, I was a very, very impatient person. I was impatient with other people, with friends, with family. If people didn't get things as quick as I did, they would, I would get impatient with them, be like, come on, why? Well, I got it. Why couldn't you get it? Because I wouldn't be real empathetic to their process, that it might take them time to do something that's easy for me. And then for things where I was in times when it took me a long time to get something, I would be very impatient with myself. And something like, for instance, like math. I've never been really good at math, and I was so impatient with it. I've just beat myself up because why could all these other people get this stuff, but I couldn't get it as fast as them? It would make me very angry. But when I started practicing the Mucusless Diet Healing System, like a lot of people, there was definitely a period of time in the beginning when I wanted to and thought that maybe I don't have to transition, maybe I can just eat nothing but fruit, or I can, get to this high level right away. Let's see what happens. And I learned really quickly that you can't do that, that this is not that kind of trip, that you have to respect the system. You have to understand, make an effort to understand the system, but you have to respect it if it's going to work properly. If you don't want to end up like Ashton Kutcher in the hospital because he never read the Mucusless Diet book and he failed to transition. Steve Jobs failed to transition. Many people fail to transition. Why? Because of impatience. They don't know how to be patient. Be gentle with yourself. Be loving with yourself. Be non-judgmental. When you eat something that you know you shouldn't have eaten, do an enema. That's our compensation. Don't beat yourself up. Instead of getting yourself in this negative space and having this anxiety or beating yourself, oh man, I'm terrible. It's like there's a quick remedy that you have control over. Lemon juice and distilled water enema, not right after you eat, wait several hours, but get into an enema. Start cleaning yourself out. Have a broom salad the next day. Eat some kind of intestinal broom, dried fruit with juicy fruit or whatever, pick something, but you just jump back on. But it doesn't help to be constantly beating yourself up, and that's not the way we want to do this. So I learned that patience is key virtue, and I'm probably one of the only people I think I ever really have seen talk about this. Maybe somebody else has, but in this sphere, in our sphere of natural health, maybe some of the deeper, real deep healing stuff or real chronic illnesses, people that talk a lot about that, you're forced to. You have no choice, but you have to be patient and you have to just continue to work the system. But this goes for everybody. This goes for if you're just starting a mucusless diet, if you've read the Mucusless Diet back in the 1970s and you did it for a while, you fell off and you lived life for many years, now you're coming back to it, you got some ailments you want to deal with, and you were like, hey, I read a book way back when. And I get messages all the time from people in that kind of situation. So that's really the main message. It's a simple one, so this doesn't have to drag out real long in terms of the video. Just I urge you to meditate on this concept. Do an audit of yourself. How patient are you? How patient are you with yourself? How patient are you with others? How patient are you with the process? There's some people that are very patient with others. They're patient and loving with their children or their family members. They actually are very patient with other people. They have zero patience with themselves. They're very hard on themselves. And it's not helpful. See, I would be for that if it would be helpful. It's good to, there's a difference between being hard on yourself and tearing yourself down and pushing yourself to be better, but maybe pushing yourself a little bit harder than you thought you would or that you should. That's different. Pushing yourself hard is different than being hard on yourself after the fact, when you can't go back and change whatever it was, whatever the situation was. You can't do that. So this is where things like mindfulness meditation, these are things everybody else teaches this stuff. I'm not, you don't have to learn it from me. I like to be a guide because there's so much stuff out here, and the more that we can think holistically, all these pieces come together. And we don't have to, it doesn't have to be isolated. The key difference with us when we get into this is we're channeling it through the filter of the Mucusless Diet Healing System. That's the difference. And it makes all the difference in the world. But mindfulness meditation, whichever, there's a ton of different disciplines and approaches to that concept in itself. I'm just throwing it out there. But meditate, or contemplate, whatever it is you do. And if you don't do any of those things, look into them and start doing them. Pick what fits with you. I do a lot of contemplation. I'm very much someone that contemplates a lot. I do actively meditate sometimes, but it's not as regular all the time as I would want, but I'm always contemplating. And so for me, there's a fine line between the contemplation and meditation, and sometimes they kind of come together a little bit for me. But there's so many different things out there. But you have to just start somewhere. Just get started. But when you take a concept like that, and there's different way, and another way to meditate, and this is sort of the old school Professor Spira methodology, is take the word patience and look it up in etymology, either in the dictionary and read the etymology of it, or look up etymology, was that .org or .com, but the etymology dictionary, and start to really just get deep into the word. How deep can you get into this concept? Is as you start to read about the history of the word, trace the word back, you'll start to have little revelations. Just how the word is put together and built. And you can do this with any word. I'm asking you today to do it with patience. But get into that and see what are some of the other ways that you can angles that you can come at that and really feel that. Because that's how you educate yourself and you get deep, have a deep understanding and a deep knowledge. This is something that the educational process, these are art forms that are being lost, ladies and gentlemen. And it hurts me to see that. But because of the way that people use media and the internet and Google and Wikipedia, people are losing the ability to research and absorb and process information in a meaningful way that can transform their life, because isn't that what it's all about? Absorb this information, transform your life, transform your mindset, educate yourself, bring out that which is great from you. But you gotta have patience. Gotta have patience. Bring the stress levels down. You know, some people that are very impatient, there are very productive people in terms of, you know, what society considers to be productive, and, you know, make a lot of money and run a lot of businesses and whatever. But their lives are terrible not because they don't have they have all the resources in the world. They're rich, a lot of them. But they don't know how to love themselves. They don't know how to take their time. They could have been just as successful, if not more, if they had the virtue of patience as a part of their process. But no, they go, me, my, get. Dominate, let's go, competition, roll, hey, come on, get out of my way, yeah, get down, get off me. You know, that mindset has to be eliminated to really truly be successful with the Mucusless Diet Healing System. You won't be permitted to take things to certain levels. There's just certain things you will not be able to access until you transform that part of your enlightenment process and really wake up. And some that frustrates some people, because there's some people that they want it now. They just want it now, and they're entitled, and that's a problem. Check your entitlement. What do you think that you should have just because you saw somebody else talking about it or doing it? I mean, I see that all the time on like raw food channels and the raw food and vegan stuff. Is like people look at that and say, oh, so-and-so are fasting. You know, saying, oh, so-and-so they did a 40-day water fast. I'm going to do a 40-day water fast. What is it? Monkey see, monkey do? What is that? Why? What is that about? Your body is different from that person's body. Your path is different from that person's path. Your physiological karma is different from that person's physiological karma. So why would you do something irrational if it's not time for your body? If it is time, your body will let you know. And you don't have to, you know, who's in the Mucusless Diet? Sometimes there's a place where I honestly can't remember if this is in like rational fasting or if this is wisdom from somewhere else. But it's all part of the continuum. But maybe this was the Bible. But basically, it's wisdom that when you're fasting, don't let anybody know that you're fasting. You shouldn't even get gaunt. I think maybe this is the Bible. Somebody help me in the comment section, update me. I could find it, but I don't want to stop the video just to find it. I'll find it after this video and refresh my own memory. But that wisdom of you don't have to tell everybody what you're doing all the time on this path. You know, it's because make sure when you do, it's coming from a place of sharing and love, and it's not coming from a place of ego and look at me, I did a long fast, look at me, you know, whatever. There's a difference between genuinely wanting to share, genuinely being, because I don't have a problem with being proud of yourself. There are people have problems with this word pride. That could be another video where we kind of explore that concept. because there are ways that you can define and understand pride that's problematic. But for me, there's nothing wrong. Doesn't mean you're not humble if you are happy with something that you've done, or you're happy with yourself, you're happy with your creation. You can be happy with yourself and at peace with yourself, and at the same time be pushing yourself to be better, to not be satisfied. That can coexist. But a lot of people, they get caught, in one, they either, there's people that are too high on themselves that they, oh man, I am great. I'm God's gift to the earth. No one can touch me. You hear a lot of that attitude, puffery, that kind of attitude, and in the hip hop culture and the stuff is, I'm the greatest. I do this. Y'all can't touch me. I got the most money. I got the most girls. I do this. I move like this because I'm silly. It's like, whatever, it's that kind of thing. But that's so problematic. I mean, just the energy of that it's not where it's at. It's not where we're supposed to be at. We are supposed to be helping each other reach higher levels of enlightenment and self-realization and physiological liberation and excellence. And for that to happen, we got to have patience. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to transform overnight. You're not going to help somebody else transform overnight. Sometimes you'll be blessed. Somebody will catch on to something, or you might catch on to something or have an aha moment, and it will feel as if it did happen instantaneously. It will maybe feel like it happened overnight, but no, it didn't. Because you weren't born at that moment. You might think you were. You might think you were reborn, so-called. You transitioned into that, to that level of consciousness. Always be transitioning. Be aware and cognizant of the transition, not just the transition diet, but the transformation of your own consciousness. That's what it's all about. Transformation of consciousness, transformation of physiology. I'm just trying to connect it all together. And people want to criticize us for, the mucus-free community, for focusing too much on diet and too much on food. They're saying that there's other things. There's other things that we should be focused on. There are spiritual things. There's higher level. And to those folks, I respectfully say, you don't get it. You don't get what we're talking about. Have you really read the Mucusless Diet Healing System book? Have you really sat with that information? Have you checked out some of the other resources that we have, or Spira Speaks, or there's quite a bit of philosophy and lifestyle practice that has emerged as a result of the Mucusless Diet Healing System as being inspired. That bedrock inspiration. So, finally, be loving to yourself. Be patient with yourself. If you're, for the mothers out there, and you're patient with your children, and I know mothers like this are very patient with their children and loving, but they are mean to themselves. They are mean. Don't be mean to yourself. Love yourself. Find that balance. Find that humble balance. I mean, that's because there's, like I said, it's an energy thing, and it's hard to describe because it's a feeling. When you high self-esteem, high love for yourself, it doesn't mean you be impervious if somebody makes fun of you. It doesn't mean you're not going to be aggravated or might feel a little hurt. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that just your baseline, getting to that space where your baseline is that self-love that's unshakable, unflappable, even when you're angry with yourself or you're frustrated with yourself. It's out of love, and it's not out of an ego trip. It's not out of trying to beat yourself down. So with that, I thank you so much for tuning in, and I want you to continue this journey. And if you're not enrolled in the Mucusless Diet Healing System e-course yet, I at least want to make a plug for that. I put a lot of effort, a lot of hours and years into making that step-by-step process on how to get into the Mucusless Diet Healing System. I take you by the hand and I show you this path. I help guide you down the path. But that's all I can do is just a guide. I can help you think of things you've never thought of before, see things a different way, a little training. We got food prep videos, but you have to do the work. This is your body, your life, your physiology, your bloodline. Take ownership of it. Take responsibility for it. And you can start today. Focus on patience. Sit with that, contemplate with that, look it up in the dictionary, look it up in the etymology dictionary. Focus in on patience. If you want to write a 2-page paper, analyzing it, exploring it, if you want to journal about it, get into this concept of patience. And if you don't know, if you know and are self-aware that you're an impatient person, then start to take steps to remove that. Because it will help you transform your mucusless diet practice. And it will help you actually gain what it is you want faster. Isn't that something? Patience will help you get what you want faster than impatience. Being centered, being steadfast, tortoise and the hare. If you don't know that, look that up. Watch that. Watch the cartoon. Tortoise and the hare. Who wins the race? You might be super fast and you think you're fast. You're running like the hare. But that tortoise is consistent. It's taking it each step very consistent. It's not playing games. It's not messing around. It's just being very consistent. And who do you think is going to win the race of longevity? Who's going to do that? No spoilers. I won't, if you haven't, when growing up or somehow you missed Tortoise and the Hare, I won't spoil it for you. Watch it. Check it out. Take some time. Part of the meditation process. You can meditate. See, you don't have to just meditate and contemplate with like spiritual books and all these lofty, it's like, yeah, that's cool. You can grab Hilton Hotima and yeah, you can go off into the stratosphere. Just philosophically, mentally. But I encourage you to do it with everyday things that you observe, to be more observant in your life. Look at the way people communicate. Social structures, organic hierarchies, whether you like it or not, humans organize themselves naturally, generally, depending on how you were oriented. We organize ourselves hierarchically. I know the egalitarian people, and this opens up all kinds of cans of worms. Probably shouldn't even said nothing about this. That's another discussion we can have. We can talk about all that. That's way over. That's a whole other thing. Start getting into egalitarianism and hierarchical structure and leadership and all. Let me stop. But right now, but contemplate. That helps. Just being able to, like I said, with the tortoise and the hare. Just analyzing that, contemplating. There's so much of what we need The wisdom that we need has already been passed down to us. Generations and generations. We already have it, but we just don't know what it is. It's right in front of us. These stories are right in front of us, all around us. Modern day incarnations of the classic ancient tales. Allegory of the cave. Over and over again, we see The Matrix, Brave New World, 1984. I mean, whatever, we see this time and time again. It's wisdom that stands the test of time. And you don't need to read it in a book. You start with the book. So it's helpful to have read Plato's Allegory of the Cave. If you've never heard of that before, check it out. But then you can start seeing it in the day-to-day life, the way it manifests. So, and contemplate it. This is how you develop. This is how you cultivate a higher level consciousness, moving toward enlightenment, physiological liberation. To me, it's what it's about. That transformation, because it will help transform humanity to its destiny, where it has to go. We have to go in this direction. The question is, do you want to be kicking and screaming and end up being on being on the short bus later on down the road, or you want to deal with this now when we have an unprecedented time in history? Right now, we have an opportunity to do magnificent transformations that can last not a lifetime, but generations. What legacy are you leaving behind? You trying to just leave a legacy of a bunch of money and a 401k plan and I'm not saying anything's wrong with that or that's bad or not. I'm putting into perspective that's your path, that's fine. But the value system, health, being there as long as you can with as much vitality as you are supposed to have. That's it, man. That's it. That's where it is at. So I thank you so much for tuning in, and I ask you to don't go anywhere. Click right here. Check out this other video. It's an important one. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to get a lot from it. So click the other video right now. Click it. I'll see you over there.